it's Andrew Huang. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm gonna be leaving soon. And I don't mean YouTube, just Earth. I have an opportunity to go to space, so I'm gonna do that. This is not a joke. I'm going to space. I'll be able to tell you more about it later. So it's my last little bit of time in the studio, and I'm just gonna do what I always do and make some music. I've been working on this song with a talk box. Have you seen one of these before? Not to be confused with a vocoder. A vocoder works by looking at how loud a sound is in a lot of different frequency bands and then kind of applying those contours to another sound. So for instance, you could be holding a synthesizer chord and then apply these frequency band changes from somebody talking. The talkbox achieves a similar effect through different means. So you plug your synthesizer into it, it sends the sound through this tube, and then you literally just blast it into your mouth.
Oh yeah, whack on the soundbox, baby.
And spit gets everywhere. So it's pretty weird because you're holding this tube in between your teeth, you're feeling the synthesizer kind of vibrate in your skull, and then the synthesizer becomes your voice. You're shaping the sound of it with your mouth, but you're not able to do consonants with the synthesizer. Those are still, sounds that come from your tongue and your teeth, like your lips. So to make any words more intelligible, you still have to sound the consonants, which is kind of a funny thing to get used to. So if I were to talk the way that I sing with the talkbox tube in my mouth, it would be... And then not only am I doing my words in a weird way, but I also have to play the melody that I want to sing at the same time.
Engaging artificial gravity.
That's convenient. Anyway, in case you missed my last video, I'm in space now. I've always found it so interesting how music can completely change the mood of a movie scene. For instance, And I thought it would be interesting if I asked 4 different people to come up with their own score for the exact same picture. And I'm really excited about who I got on board for this. We're gonna hear from Christian Henson, Tori Letzler, Mark Hadley, and Virtual Riot. I sent them all this video. It's sort of like a Netflixy style intro sequence for a sci-fi show about a music producer going to space on a mission to discover some of the universe's strangest secrets while also struggling to upload creative educational music content to his YouTube channel. Classic stuff. So I asked these 4 composers, if you were gonna score this series, how would you do it? And they were given absolutely no direction. Let's check out the first one.
name's Tori Letzler. I'm a composer, vocalist, and producer for film and TV. You've probably heard me sing on a lot of your favorite superhero scores, and I sometimes go by the name Tiny Cat. Now, it's important that with film or anything that's telling a story that you hit certain important moments. How I wanted to get started here was something really mysterious, a little alien sounding. I got this cool bass pad. It's like undulating sound. Oh, by the way, I'm using Reaper. If this doesn't look familiar to you, Reaper is a really great DAW that's open source. I'm a vocalist and I sing on pretty much everything I do. I did run them through a little bit of vocoder from Vocal Synth. Echo Boy, you'll notice this is like a fave plugin of mine. And then through my favorite reverb to use on vocals, this Lexicon Random Hall. If I ever sing on anything, it has that. I'm a modular synth nerd, if you can tell. We have a beautiful rack back here. I like adding analog elements when I can. I choose to put orchestra in this because I think it has that big adventure quality, that needed orchestra. We have our short string ostinato, which leads you into these giant brass chords. And you'll notice in the whole intro, everything's like moving forward and undulating because we're building to a moment. I want the audience to feel like, ooh, what's about to happen? Something exciting, something big. So we build up here. And it was super important for me in that moment to have a stop down before we hit what I would call the next important section, because it's like anticipation. So then on that moment we talked about, we jump back in with all the orchestra and all that heavy percussion comes in. Quick stop down again at the end after that big long build we have, so that when we hit this title shot, it's an important moment. And so I have the reinstatement of the theme we have from the beginning.
This is really mysterious kind of vibe she's evoking.
The voice is so good.
I like how the harp is minor, but then the chords go towards this major.
That was a great swell.
The journey begins.
Damn, so sick.
I like how the strings kind of took over the dun-dun-na-na-na-na-na pattern towards the end.
I love how atmospheric that started, and the build, the arc of it was so great. Hey everyone, my name is Mark Hadley. I'm a producer and composer in Los Angeles. I release original music under the artist name Hark Madley. Really excited to show you guys what I made. Let's check it out. Before I write any music, I try to identify the feeling of the picture so that I can convey the same feelings in the music. The first sound up here is this vocal hit. So this is a sample of Andrew from a session we did earlier this year.
The world falls.
And I think I just clipped it to here and put it on that note and then distorted and put some verb. The next group of sounds here is the main melody. And we have my piano layered with phase plant. And then that's also layered with this prophet. I contacted one of my favorite trumpet players, Marquise Hill. I just wanted to really hammer the melody aspect of this home, so I just layered up the melody a bunch. I contacted a cello player that I love working with, Tahira Whittington. The cello is pretty tucked. Here it is soloed.
And then moving on, we have our big synth group here. In this synth group, we have some textural stuff and we have some more driving featured stuff. So the textured stuff comes from my modular synth. There's this cool shot of the shoes that say far out. And so, like, obviously, you got to take that moment far out. You know what I mean? Then there's this main arpeggio part. And this is coming from the Prophet. Here's our bass group. We have a reverse bass, which then turns into a forward bass. And that's coming from the BIA, which is a modular synth module somewhere around here. And now we open up the drums group. This was an addictive drums track that I just did some light drum set programming in so that I could have some articulations that I specifically wanted, like this. Tom-toms processed in different ways. This track below is me sending those toms out to my pedal chain. Here's what these two sound like together. And then the last group of tracks here is the FX, which is mainly risers and bass drops.
Love these little crunchy low bits.
Like that there's a super clear theme with this beat. It's like very fun.
Very heroic.
This is majestic.
I'm loving it.
Oh, that was sick.
Mark is just totally genre bending.
Nice. I like the mix of orchestral stuff and electronic stuff in this.
Wow, just very clean, amazing mix.
Thanks, Andrew, for letting me have a go at scoring this scene. I wanted to give it a theme of time, space-time. So I started out with this funny kind of pizzicato technique called Bartok. I always involve at least one musician in whatever score that I'm working on. So I asked my good friend, fantastic composer Homai Schmitz, to do some vocals, which also gives us our kind of, our brand logo, menomic, if you will. Now you know why I didn't sing it. Now, in this middle bit here, I think it's always very tempting as a composer to play the spacecraft. But I know that sound design would go in on this and there'd be all sorts of low rumble. So I avoided the low end and I went for something kind of gothic and awesome. And put a choir on top of that. And it's only really when the spacecraft goes out of shot that I really play with the bottom end. Keeping the time thing going throughout. I noticed at the end there was this slight ticking left over in the delays there, so I thought I'd grab a little bit of that and turn it into a loop. Because I think it's a human story. I wanted to keep the sounds as organic as possible and actually use some whale song. Throughout the piece, I'm using some cinematic percussion, which I've actually built from just a very basic drum kit, pitched down with loads of reverb and delay. What I'm really proud about, Andrew, is every single sound I've used is free to download. A lot of them are Spitfire Labs, but one of the ones I'd like to highlight is from Piano Book, which is a community of like-minded composers who make sounds for everyone to have for free. And this is a choral project involving hundreds of contributors that have never met, which gives it this incredible kind of earth choir kind of sound. And finally, I really wanted to make something of this transition here. Taking a bounce of this piano, simply reversing it, gets a bit hot there, and then putting this tremolo and automating the rate. Cymbal, crash, and reverse that. And did the same with the tremolo. And then did some gymnastics, adjusting the mix of a phaser and also a low cut here, and then a bit crusher to reduce the bit rate.
Very dramatic horns and strings. I like it.
It's very mysterious.
Whoa. Really cool mood change up there.
Atmospheric sounds so beautiful.
Super emotional and like there's a lot of nice subtleties.
I love the sense of wonder in this section.
Very tranquil and serene. Super beautiful.
Oh, I love the piano. I love the sticks that started off and then come back to the end. Those are so cool.
I loved how dynamic it was, all the different parts, and just how it felt like a whole bunch of different movements. Really cool.
Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Virtual Ride, and thank you for having me on this, Andrew. I tried to go a little different route than usual this time. Let's listen to the start here. So there's this synth. It's like playing the 6-note pattern, and then under it is this little bass here that kind of accentuates this pattern as well with like this little LFO thing going on here. I had these old samples of NASA radio chatter or something on my computer, and I thought this was the perfect time to use them. I want to accentuate if there's like a camera move or a cut with these notes that I recorded from my Moog. So we have like that happening in this moment when the camera kind of shifts over here. There's a bunch of things happening too. There's this little chord hit that you just heard, and then there's this kind of glitchy thing over here. And then again over here when there's like a little more glitchy, weird, like lens shifting camera effect going on. This little glitchy thing down here is kind of interesting. By itself, this sound is just... And I put some grain delay on this and a resonator. So that's doing like all the melodic work here and turning it into something beautiful. I tried to make some sound effects for things happening in the video, like the feet coming into view here. I kind of wanted to have these like low-end rumbly sounds as if it was like a slow motion underwater kind of thing. And then when these doors open up, I wanted to add some sound effects for the doors themselves. So there's this little... I put some effects on this, like different frequency shifters at different pitches to make them sound a little different, and they get quieter as the doors go further away. In this moment... When I was watching it, I was just imagining like some sort of sound that just went like... And then I just recorded this with my mouth and moved it to the right spot. So like without the effects on this kind of sounds just like... And then with these effects, there's like a chorus on this and some reverb just to make this like a little more washed out. Then when the spaceship is passing by, I wanted to have like some sub-rumble to accentuate the fire coming out of the engines there. There's also some more drum layers coming in over time here, so we just, like, it starts with these like very simple drums and a little... Down here we have these taiko drums. And then towards the end, this is like the only thing where I was a little worried. Maybe it's this little da-na-na-na melody or something, but it kind of reminds me of like a newscast thing, like the news at 5 in space with Andrew Huang.
Oh yeah. Nice use of some sound design there.
Already very exciting.
I love the pulsing, it's pulling you.
Cool little sound design bits.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Man, his sound design.
A lot of textures happening, but the mix is crazy clean.
Dude, all the little ear candies are really cool.
Oh, downsample that shit, dude.
Amazing, really tight, and you just know it's like bing bang bosh on the zeitgeist. Amazing stuff.
Very cool, very tasteful synths.
I really like the storytelling on that one.
I feel like the arc to this one was that it was building the whole time, so that was interesting because it's really like setting you up but not quite giving you a payoff because you want to watch the show for that. It's more like it's saying, get ready. Alright, thanks so much for watching. Leave a comment, let us know what you thought, and stay tuned for some more space shenanigans on my channel. But for now, Brick,
Yes, Andrew.
shields up.
I do not understand this command.
Warp speed.
I do not understand this command.
Prepare the jump drive.
I do not understand this command.
Space. Hey, it's Andrew Huang, and in today's video we are expecting a very special delivery.
Package incoming.
Pull it up.
Engaging exterior telephoto. Package received. Make noise. Black and gold shared system plus. Modular synthesizer.
This is the best day of my life.
Good morning, Andrew.
Morning, Brick. So, this is what I'm doing for food in space. Every meal I eat a green, a yellow, a red, and a blue, and supposedly that's all the calories I need. And they taste disgusting. Oh, God. All right, let's jump in. Hey, it's Andrew Huang. Yes, I brought a guitar to space with me, and this is Theory Thursday. So a question I've gotten a lot, and something that I used to struggle with myself, is creating more interesting chord progressions. It's easy to fall into some of the same old writing traps and feel like the progressions you're coming up with aren't that original or aren't that interesting, so I want to show you a few techniques today that will help you turn even the most basic progression into something a lot more compelling to listen to. So let's start with something that's very, very basic, a 2-chord progression. I'm in the key of E, and I'm just going to play an A and a B chord. 2 chords, doesn't get much plainer than that. So the first thing we're gonna do is add some passing chords. A passing chord is just like a shorter chord in between the main chords. And you can do this and still retain a lot of the original vibe of the chord progression you're working with. Like say you've already written a melody to it, but you just feel like the chords aren't great. The easiest passing chord to use is probably the one that's right next to the one that you're going to. And since we're already going from A to B, which are right next to each other in the key that we're in, we can go to one above the B and then come back down to it. So I'll be playing a C sharp minor. And just play it for like 1 beat before changing over to the next chord. can pretty much throw in any other chord from the key and it'll probably be okay as a passing chord. Definitely experiment and see what sounds good to you, but just to give you a demonstration, we've got this A with a passing chord of C sharp minor to B, and I'll just play a bunch of other chords from E major leading back into the A, so being a passing chord from B to A. I think I like that last one the best there, the E major going back to the A major, so let's keep that in our example and then we'll keep developing it. So the next thing I want to suggest is changing up the rhythm. Plenty of songs just change chords every bar or every 2 bars, and a lot of the times that's fine. But sometimes it's just more interesting to add a bit of syncopation, so maybe going to the next chord early could be nice here. I like that. So another way that we could develop this is to extend the chord progression. And this doesn't have to mean like adding a whole bunch of new chords, adding a whole different progression on top of the one that you've already made. Actually, often it works better to just repeat most of it and then make a little variation. So you could change a chord, like maybe I'll play this twice in a row, but change one of the passing chords. But you could also take a less is more approach. So in this next playthrough, I'm actually going to take away the last passing chord and just hold the B the second time that I play it. Tip number, whatever we're on now, you could change the chord shape. There are tons of different ways to play every chord, so experimenting with different registers and different inversions, you know, like this is an A chord, this is an A chord, this is an A chord. We can even take away some notes and it would still be an A chord. So instead of the original thing I was playing like this, what if we just played 2 notes? A and C sharp, an octave and a third apart. So if we continue that with the other chords, it would be like this. Another way to change the shape of a chord is to have the bass note be one of the notes that's not the root. So normally we would play, say, an E major like this. But you can still have it have the E major feeling, but with a slightly different flavor by moving, say, that bass note to the G sharp. This is a weird way to play a chord, but it'll work for our demo. And that would lead nicely back into our A, because G sharp is just 1 note below A. This is such a wacky shape to play, but just, you know, program it or ask your bass player to do it. Don't do this with your hands. That feels like it'll cause problems down the road. Interestingly, if I go back to this spaced out thirds method of playing chords, if I play a G sharp minor, it's kind of the same as playing an E major with a G sharp in the bass. So we've played with the standard chords, we've played with taking some notes out of those chords. Extended chords are when you add notes to the typical root, third, fifth of a chord. So if we put a 7th on every chord in our progression, it would sound like this. I'll kind of botch that. You could do 9ths. Typically, I wouldn't put the exact same type of extension on every chord. Every extension has its own type of flavor, so it's really a matter of getting to know them and what kind of emotions they impart and choosing how you want to use them. There might be some interesting things where the 7th of a chord leads into like the 3rd of the next chord, that kind of thing. Actually, that makes me think of something that I wasn't planning on talking about, but it totally fits in with kind of the extended chord thing and also notes leading into other notes. Suspensions. Typically, this happens with a 4th, 4th going to a 3rd. But you could could also do a 9 coming down to the octave. You could do a 6 going down to a 5th. The last technique I want to share with you today is inserting some chords that are not from the key that you're in. And this one is the wackiest thing that we're going to be looking at today. It'll definitely take the most experimentation because once you start going outside the key, things can start to sound a little bit jarring much more easily. So just take some playing around to find some interesting flavors that you like. But working with chords that are outside of a single key can lead to some of the most interesting music. So, I don't know, let's just mess around with what we were playing with before. I'm reaching for more passing chords, basically. Stuff that leads into what comes next in an even more outside the box and interesting way than just like another note from the key. But you can also do chord progressions where the main chords are just completely outside the box, you know? I used to say, it's all the same, it's all the same, the day. I'm recording spaceship sounds today. I figured while I do this, I could also maybe give you the tour and explain this mission that I'm on. This is the ship. Got this shot with a fancy drone. Also, there's no sound in space, so I added these sound effects. And this is the habitat. It's where I habitate. The best part is obviously the window. Great views out of here. Sadly, it's not like in the movies. There's a lot of glare, so I only get to enjoy the view if I turn off some lights. Now, probably my favorite feature aboard the whole ship is the artificial intelligence system that can be accessed on any of these screens. Hey, Brick?
Yes, Andrew?
Say something funny.
How many ears does Captain Picard have? A left ear, a right ear, and a final front ear.
I love her. So here's the side hallway, and here's the main hallway. There's a lot of hallways. And this is the cockpit. All the ship controls are behind me here, but Brick's basically got it on autopilot all the time, so I never really have to fly it. And let me show you the airlock, which is through this door, and I'm not allowed to go in there without a spacesuit on. So here's my spacesuit, and now we're in the airlock. That door goes to space. I'm not gonna open it right now. And just gotta take this all off again. Now the reason why I'm even out here at all is time crystals. Time crystals. So years ago, I found a whole bunch of these on a beach in New Zealand, and I discovered that they let me time travel, which you've probably seen in some of my videos. I would collaborate with myself, find someone with more than 1 million subs! Predict who would win the Oscars. Moonlight. Recover gear that I'd misplaced. So sorry to interrupt, just came back for the OP1, and at this point, I'm down to my last one. But as I was running out of them, I started trying to figure out where they came from, and I ended up getting in touch with some really interesting people in all different kinds of scientific fields, including the space industry. I started working with Luminatics, which is a private space exploration company, kind of like a SpaceX, but you've never heard of it because it's in Canada. We discovered that these crystals have a unique radiation signature, and we believe we've detected this signature on a distant planet. So that's where I'm headed right now to hopefully find some more of these and bring them back home. Now it's gonna be weeks until we reach our destination, so in the meantime, let's make some music. I feel like using Flip today because it's just gonna be streamlined and fun. Got all my sounds loaded up in here already. Let's see what we can do with them. I'm gonna start by editing some of them to just make them as musical as possible. I usually start by pitch shifting stuff around just to explore what the possibilities are. Oh, there's a cool tone from the door. It sounds cool pitched up too. All right, I'm gonna load the door sound again because I wanna use it in 2 different ways. gonna send that one to a reverb. Gonna just use it as an impact. Can we turn this into a kick drum? That's something. I like that rhythm too. Let's program it in. Tap tempo. Gonna make this a 2-bar thing. Delete those notes. This belt can be our hi-hat. Oh, automating the start position of that'll be fun. Let's just put down a basic pattern for now. Let's automate the sample start time. You know what? I'm going to give it some mastering juice already. Just to feel it. I'm going to use that bell sound we got out of the pitched down door as kind of a reverby thing. Play it on the keys maybe. I've been thinking we could turn this fan into a bass line. Automate the filter on that. Bit crush it first to give it a little extra high end. Make a snare out of that switch being flicked. Yeah, that's a fun thing to do with that tube swipe sound. Let's put that at the end of every 4 bars. Well, that was a fun little jam. It turned out way better than I thought, given we were just using those 7 little sounds. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to check out my app, Flip, it's linked in the description, and I'll see you in the next video. So we got your Perenniums, Dandelion, Rose, Parfonium, Jubilee, Jessica. Hey, it's Andrew Huang. Still on the spaceship, and I was thinking for a random experiment today, I want to try and create a piece of music that uses the lowest note possible for humans to hear. The limits to the range of human hearing are said to be about 20 hertz on the low side and 20,000 hertz on the high side, hertz being a measurement of how many vibrations there are per second. Sound waves, although you can't see them, are very physical, and they're made up of air particles that are moving and rapidly changing between areas of high pressure and low pressure. And when you're dealing with low frequencies, those areas can get huge. For instance, for a 20 hertz wave to complete its entire cycle, it takes about 17 meters or 55 feet. So anyway, let's try and make a track that incorporates a lot of 20 hertz. So I'm going to start with Ableton's operator because I can just play a sine wave with it. So a tone with no harmonics, just a pure 20 hertz tone. Can you hear this? We're already at, that's like 39 or 40. Okay, that's what we're dealing with, right at the bottom end of where the scope even goes, because why do you need to go below human hearing on one of these scopes? Obviously, to have a song that's only 20 hertz, it would just be that tone, and there's not much you can do with that. So that tone is gonna be in this song, but we're going to augment it, we're gonna add stuff to it. I think the first thing I wanna do is just FM it with operator and see what kind of overtones happen. Try some different waveforms, FMing it. Okay, this is super fun. I think what I'm gonna do is set up another track that I'll use to resample the operator while I'm messing with these knobs. Maybe I'll put the operator in an instrument rack and then I can use macros to adjust multiple parameters at once. All right, a lot of crazy sounds. Since we're probably gonna end up making some kind of dubsteppy drop with this, I'm just gonna load up Serum so we can add some like more finely crafted growls to this whole situation. Actually, what if I take some of the operator stuff and import it as a wavetable? FM it from the B oscillator. I'm just going to do the exact same thing, resample it onto a new track while I'm messing around with the controls. Actually, assigning some LFOs to these is probably the way to go. Get a basic beat going. And now let's just start like grabbing some of our sounds and seeing what we can arrange on top of here. Yeah, that's huge, and that one still has a lot of 20 hertz in it. Ended up with some really cool ones through Serum, and because that was all using the LFOs, it's synced to our tempo, so I can just like grab chunks really easily. That's pretty sweet.
20 minutes later.
Just adding some definition to the actual notes in these sounds with Sublab. Maybe we can actually create like a little chord progression after this. This could be like whatever this next section is after drop zone. Adding in an ARP right now using Phase Plant. Just found a preset that I liked and like tweaked it the tiniest bit. Just feel like I want some really fast, high energy, but kind of lighter stuff to fill out the atmosphere here. What's next? Maybe like some little accents, some effect stabs. I'm gonna go on Splice and just look for vocal samples. Wait, like a scream. Come on, classic move. Put a scream in there.
Was I lamp?
So many types of screams. Wow, that guy's got a weird voice. Oh, there's none like Joshua.
Seek and destroy.
Sorry, buddy. Not what I'm looking for today. So I grabbed this scream female sound and tuned it to the key of the song. I have it an octave down here as well. Also found a few fun little vocal accents to throw in, like...
Bring it back harder.
Those are actually two different people's voices, but I kind of pitched and form and shifted them around until they hopefully matched.
Riot! Bring it back harder.
Riot! Bring it back harder.
Doesn't even really matter if they aren't the exact same voice, but I think I got them pretty close.
Riot! Bring it back harder.
Another cool thing over this ARPy part would be like some more vocal chops, but like a melodic line that I could cut up and make a melody on.
I'm mad with it.
Ba, 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 ba.
20 minutes later.
Super into this. Okay, let's hear the whole thing with the drop too. I've been working in headphones this whole time. I think I want to just blast this on the ship speakers. Let's check it out. Here we go. What is happening? Oh my gosh. AI offline? Ooh, that is not good. Oh, okay, wait, rebooting. Okay, all right, I'm just gonna sit here and chill. Progress bar looks like it won't take very long. We'll have brick back in no time. Oh, what's that? Oh, no, what? Incoming asteroids. I don't think I saw any asteroids. Okay, yep. my god, so maybe we'll override. Okay, let's do this! Oh my god.
Reboot successful. Hello, Andrew. How are you?
Totally fine. Very relaxed.
My system safety protocol was triggered by an unidentified 90 decibel 20 Hz oscillation.
Ooh, that was the dubstep.
Diagnostic scans reveal minor impact to portside engine. Repair required to maintain oxygen levels.
And if we don't repair it...
Your camera would record your slow suffocation to death, which would violate 1 YouTube policies.
Great. Let's do it!
Words are flowing out like endless rain into a paper cup. They slither wildly as they slip away across the universe. Pools of sorrow, waves of joy are drifting through my opened mind, possessing and caressing me. Jai Guru Deva Om. Nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change my world. Jai Guru Deva. Jai Guru Deva.
Hey, it's Andrew Huang. So in this video, I want to show you how I made a song using just one synthesizer. I didn't really do this on purpose. It just happened naturally. I was jamming and vibing on the Make Noise shared system that I did a video on a little bit ago, and I developed this groove that I was inspired to write to, and then I just kept layering on more and more stuff from the synth, and eventually I kind of just thought, let's see how far I can take it with just this synth, and then the song was finished without using any other instruments or sounds other than my voice when I eventually sang on it. So I'll play you a bit of the song, and then I'll show you how I made it, and if you do want to hear the full thing, it's called Claws, and I just released it on my new EP, Monolith.
Always been a part of me. That's the brainwash talking. That's the brainwash talking. Did it for dead ISIS. If it's never enough, then what's nothing? You got your claws in me. You got your claws in me.
So the whole song actually started with a happy accident because I was messing around sequencing the DPO module with Renee and came up with this awesome groove. That basically holds down almost the entire song, and I just create variations by adding different amounts of saturation for different sections. In the choruses, I add a second layer to that, also using the DPO, but this time I played it by hand using pressure points to affect some timbral parameters. added in this kick drum that I made by enveloping the DPO, and actually I made a whole bunch of different percussion and sound effects, and this bass line actually is also in a sample pack that I'm releasing for free. Some other drums that I made are these kind of tom-like things. This might be my favorite sound that I came up with on the whole synth. And that, of course, is also the DPO with some envelopes on it. The DPO is like the primary sound source for the shared system. The last couple layers of drums that I made with it are this kind of clap sound. And then I made this track of what I called noise clicks, which is just like a whole bunch of little tiny background percussion. It's kind of serving like hi-hats, but there's a bit of random modulation in there, so nothing ever repeats the exact same way twice. There's little variations to the sound, little variations to the rhythm throughout it. So altogether, our drums and bass sound like this. Also, I'm going to take a moment to address a comment that I'm anticipating, which is that if I'm doing so much in Ableton, did I really just use the synth to make the song? And of course I didn't, because of Ableton, but I treat it like an instrument. You know, if I was making a song with just guitars, I would be recording lots of layers of guitars, be splicing together different takes, I would be putting effects on them. So it's kind of the same as that. I'm treating the synth as my only instrument in creating this piece, even though I'm also using my voice and I'm also using a DAW. And if you look through, I mean, the effects are pretty basic. It's like EQs, volume adjustments. This track has no processing at all, and some saturation like I mentioned earlier. Just basic mix stuff that you use on any song. So moving on, I played a couple melodic parts with the synth. There's this flute-like thing. Later in the song, a kind of harsher version of that sound. I ran something through Morphogene to make these clicky little fills. So like in context. There are also a whole bunch of these impact sounds that I made for this sample pack using only the shared system, and I brought some of them in here for certain moments in this song. And then the rest of the layers on this song are just all of these effects that I played live over top of it and then kind of cut up and rearranged, and they just add all of the atmosphere and some of the tension. So, you know, we've got like risers and fallers. And you can see with a lot of these, I'm just automating the volume to go up over the duration of them because that just helps, you know, with the swell effect. And what else? Just all of these layers of atmospheric stuff that I've sprinkled around the track. So it was like a mixture of jamming and improvising, and then when I found a specific part that I wanted to include, like those flute lines, for example, I would patch up what I wanted and record it, and then there's no turning back, because once you take the patch apart, it's gone forever. I think we're going to be landing this ship next week, which is pretty exciting. Distant planet, searching for time crystals, adventures are about to begin. Stay tuned, thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.
I'm going up to orbit, cause I don't wanna pay rent. I'll bring a couple drum machines and a modular synth.
Hey, it's Andrew Huang. We are very quickly approaching our destination, but I think I have enough time to squeeze in some music content. I wanted to make a video about the Hologram Microcosm. Not sponsored or anything, this just became my favorite guitar pedal ever from the first time that I tried it, and I want to share that excitement with you. It's just so magical, so enjoyable to use, and just creates these amazing sounds out of everything that you feed into it. Let me show you what it does. So Microcosm does a lot of things in the realms of space and time. Spacetime. It'll take your audio and delay it, rearrange it, glitch it out, pan it sometimes, pitch shift it sometimes. There's a reverb. It has 11 different modes that you can see listed here, and they're grouped into 4 categories. And as you turn this knob, you can select different ones. As this light changes, that actually selects between 4 different sub-modes for each of the modes. So this means in total, Microcosm has 44 different modes. So I'm not gonna go through every single one of them, but I'll show you a range of what it can do. Normally, I don't like when things have too many modes, but here it's actually totally fine because they're all labeled right on the panel. You can switch between them easily, and in each mode, all the knobs do very similar things, and they all sound amazing. So let's use a really basic sound. Kind of plucky, piano-ish thing. Let's check out these granular modes first. So I'll play some basic stuff and turn up the wetness. Just gonna turn space down a bit so you hear just the grains. So between activity and repeats, you're kind of deciding how much of the currently selected effect you want. This shape control kind of envelopes the affected sound, so, determining if it's going to be a little more harder on and off, or more gentle and fading. A lot of the effects are also synced to tempo, so you can either tap tempo here or feed some MIDI clock in, and there's also this time knob that determines whether the effects are going to be a division or a multiplication of the tempo. And there's this button that's blinking along with the tempo. This also acts as the shift button, so if you hold this down, you can turn some of these knobs, and the smaller gray text underneath them indicates what additional parameter you can adjust. Oh, oops. The OP1 needs to charge. ARP has got to be one of my favorite modes, and it's a little different from everything we've seen so far because it's not so much about spaciousness, but rearranging your audio synced to tempo to create kind of new sequences out of it. Interrupt is the next glitch mode, and this interrupts the dry signal with glitches. The blocks mode is kind of interesting. Incoming audio will actually trigger little micro loops. This mode called Sequence is sort of similar to blocks or ARP, kind of rearranges your audio rhythmically. Some of them pitch shift, and there's one I really like that introduces this nice sounding distortion. Mosaic just gives you these beautiful cascading octaves of your audio. Oh my gosh, honestly, you could just have the microcosm and then pick any sound and make an ambient album in real time. You'll notice even when I switch modes, the reverb keeps trailing off, so it's totally fluid to just jam with this and mess around, change things up, and wow, I love this on drums. Do you remember this video from a few years ago where I went to Berlin to film some stuff with Native Instruments? I'm gonna make a track sampling the machine that tests the life cycle of the mod wheel. We were working on a few pieces of content and I made a bunch of beats to go along with it, and there's one that I really liked but could never fully finish. You know what was missing from it? Microcosm. Almost hit myself in the face right there. I had all the main parts in place, the drums, bass, leads, there was a structure to it, but it felt like it was just missing a bit of atmosphere and ear candy. And I tried a bunch of stuff with it, but nothing felt quite right. It would either be too plain or too obvious, but I tried a session with the Microcosm and it just instantly glued everything together. It's in that perfect sweet spot for a piece of gear where it manages to surprise you, but it still always complements the music. Let me play some more of it in context of the finished track, which, by the way, I just decided to name Microcosm, and it's on my new EP, Monolith.
Prepare for landing. Andrew, T-minus 10 minutes to touchdown. Are you ready, Andrew?
Planet, I just landed. Snapping candies, got an Instagram. It got a rocket ship here and I command it.
Can I have a snack?
Permission granted.
Kick rocks till I kick, vacuum till I kick rocks. Kicks hot, Liftoff was just tip off. We had Asteroids for that trick shot. Now I'm out the airlock, ship dock. I was in it for a minute, tick tock. New release of my timepiece. We put 2 C's on this thick plot. Cosmopolitan, cosmonaut. Top the oxygen off and bop. Burn your tonsils, this sauce is hot. Catch up to me, nah, probably not. Lost the pros till we hit the spot.
Brick, do you know what that noise was?
Negative.
Oh my god, what is that? Hey, it's Andrew Huang. Quick update if you haven't been watching recently. I went to space on a mission to find more time crystals. My dubstep broke the AI that flies the ship. While it was down, we got clipped by an asteroid, so I had to do a spacewalk to repair some stuff. We've been traveling for ages and just landed on this planet where earlier today this light beam thing shot out, and I've been analyzing the sound, and I think it's a coded alien message. And when I say it all at once like that, it sounds so dope. So we recorded this alien message. I have no idea how to interpret it, but check out what happened when I asked Brick to decode it.
Unable to decode.
So I'm just looking at this waveform and I have no idea what to do with it. And then I got distracted and sampled it into this beat. Let me just drag Ableton over here. Okay. First of all, I just used the tail end of it as this impact. The snare drum is just the smallest bit of the beginning of the sound pitched up. I did a low cut on it and beefed it up with drum bus. And the exact same part of the sound I used for the kick, but here I pitch shifted it down a little bit and then EQ'd a lot of the highs out, as well as doing this little automation move on some of the low end of the EQ, just to add to that kind of kick drum feel of a slight drop in pitch. You know, kick drums. The hi-hat was a couple small chunks of the sound with all the lows and mids taken away. And then there were all these other little pieces that I just threw in here and there in rhythmically interesting places that propel things forward. And then the bass is actually the light beam sound as well. So I just zoomed in on a very tiny part that I could cycle. Check out this waveform. There's got to be like all kinds of cool harmonics coming out of that. And with a filter envelope on it and a little bit of amp and OTT, it turned into a pretty nice sounding bass.
Andrew, incoming report from Drone 6.
Talk to me, fancy space drone.
Scans have revealed crystal radiation signature. Location confirmed. The crystals are located in a nearby cave system.
All right, so this is us, and this is the cave with the crystals. So I could just like swing around here first to check out that light beam thing.
We must focus on the mission objective.
Yeah, for sure. We're totally gonna do the mission objective first.
Andrew, you are off trajectory.
Come on, Brick. Can I just go over there real quick to check it out?
The crystals are located in a nearby cave system.
Aren't you the least bit curious about this transmission?
Negative.
This could be like a completely unprecedented scientific discovery.
Andrew, you are equipped with limited oxygen. Resources must be reserved for the mission.
Okay, you're right. But if we find the time crystals, then can I go check out this alien light beam?
Very well. If the mission objective is achieved, I will not obstruct you.
Yes. Light beams! Aliens! Brick, I know you were designed for this purpose and all, but it would be great if you could loosen up a bit.
Would you like me to tell you a joke?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. Ouch. A time traveler walks into a bar.
Oh my god! Kind of freaky. I can swear it looks like something's made a path here. Brick, what do you think the chances are that there's some kind of alien life form in here? 0%? More than 0%?
Scans reveal 0 organic life forms.
Damn. Okay. Yeah, that's gotta be them. These are way bigger than the ones that I had. Oh my gosh, these are beautiful. Well, we found the time crystals. What was that? What is that? Oh my god.
Oh, hello there.
Distant planet, I just landed. Snapping candies, got an Instagram. It got a rocket ship here and I command it.
All right, we are gonna talk about what happened at the end of my last video.
What was that? What is that? Oh my god.
Oh, hello there.
But this channel is not all space adventures. I am still trying to make music content, and today I wanted to talk about one of the most common things when it comes to making your own music, which is getting out of the loop. So the example I'm going to use in today's video is my song Liftoff. This is a song with 150,000 Spotify streams in less than 2 months with no playlisting and no promotion. I just say that to let you know that this video is not theoretical. This is what I actually do on my music that I'm proud of and that other people enjoy listening to. So this is a loop I started with. It repeats twice, but the last chord is different the second time. The first time it's minor, the second time it's major. So this chord progression loops for the entire song, 4 minutes straight. That's one of the reasons why I picked this song for this video, because it truly is a loop, and I do a whole lot of things to develop it and keep it interesting, but at the heart of it, it's just that progression over and over. Lots of songs obviously change chord progressions for different sections, so that could be an additional thing that you try to do when you're coming up with new sections for a track, but in this one, I just never ended up feeling like it was necessary. With this basic loop that's just drums and a synth bass and a synth pad, I already knew I had all my foundational elements and I liked them all enough, so I moved right on to structure. I copied and pasted my parts a few times and made it so I had sections with just the drums and bass alternating with parts that also had the synth pad. So just immediately setting up a verse-chorus dynamic. This is one of the biggest keys to getting out of the loop, because for so many of us, especially working on the computer, it's so natural and easy to just keep layering. You can add all kinds of interesting stuff on top of your loop, which makes for a cool loop sometimes, but doesn't actually move you forward into a finished song. So I try to get into structure as early as possible and then come up with my lead part, because that's really what's going to carry the track. If you've already gone really far into loop land though, you could always peel it back and maybe even take some parts of your loop to make one section and then other parts of the loop to make a second section, and see if you can get structure out of that. This is me just making stuff up as the basic loop plays. It's kind of embarrassing to share. It's really rough, but this is what I do. Just sing random syllables to try and come up with melodies. Take my time, take time, I need to take my time. Just trying a lot of different things on top of my loop while recording, and then later picking out the things that I like the best and trying to arrange them into my structure. And after all this, I still didn't have anything I was happy with for my verses, so I actually sent this rough demo you've been hearing to my friend Dana Jean Phoenix, and she helped me with some verse melody ideas, as well as we wrote the lyrics together for the song at this stage. Huge shout out to Dana. But yeah, I shared this with her in the early embarrassing stages because I knew I could do whatever I wanted with the production, but the song wouldn't be strong until the writing was strong. So Dana came up with a melody that sounded like this. Symphony of starlight, moon has come alive, charted constellations, call on me to find. And I really love that, but I just tweaked it a bit to give the melody a wider range to create even more interest. Symphony of starlight, the moon has come alive, uncharted constellations, call on me to find. So at this point, we had the big pieces of the song. We had the foundational elements and we had the main melodies for different sections of it. And this is when I dove into producing. This part of the process was also a collaboration. I went back and forth with Pusher a couple times to develop the song, basically just thinking about three questions. How do we create dynamics, high energy parts and low energy parts? How do we create transitions, so moving between those high and low energy parts in a satisfying way? And how do we support the lead? How do we add things to elevate it and accentuate it, but also where do we need to get out of its way? So we added tons of different stuff, but it all fits into a few categories. We ended up with 5 different bass synths on this song. They're playing this looped progression the whole way through, but to create dynamics, we have different ones come in at different times, and sometimes they're layered. We fleshed out the drums with some extra cymbals to add air during the choruses, and then of course we threw in a whole bunch of big 80s tom fills. There are some different chord layers that come in at different times, but I think the most interesting harmonic support comes in the form of arpeggios. These are sort of halfway between chord and melody. Basically, they are a broken chord, but they support the lead in a more interesting way than just holding down a chord, but they're still repetitive and in the background, so they still stay out of the way. A lead part doesn't usually go constantly throughout the whole song, so in the spaces it leaves, you often want to add a little something else to maintain the interest. And this could be anything. It has to be fine-tuned to support the song, of course, but it could be a drum fill, it could be extra vocals, it could be a sound effect, it could be a melody playing on a different instrument. These are the things that elevate a song from being solid to being magical. So some examples from Liftoff. There's this space in the chorus where I'm not singing, and that's where this little climbing melody comes in. Pusher also did this simple but genius thing where he took the main notes from my chorus melody and played them on different synths during the intro and in the background of the verses. There are the usual swells and impacts. I also played this synth solo at the end. And that was a decision I made after hearing the production more fleshed out and realizing that it would just be good to keep the energy higher for longer. So structure doesn't have to be set in stone at the writing stage, but it's good to have your bigger pieces in place and then work through that to get to the finer stuff. I also think this is why a lot of people have trouble finishing tracks, because as you get more and more into the details, stuff gets less creative and more technical, less fun and more work. You know, you get into stuff like choosing takes, editing breaths, mixing. The final stage of creating any piece of recorded music is all this finicky stuff of trying to get it as close to perfect as possible. My process with this is to render the song and then listen to it away from the studio, you know, put it on your phone, listen in headphones, listen in your vehicle, and as you're listening, make notes of anything you hear that could be improved. Anything, big or small, and then you take that list back to your project and you do a session where you just work through and try to address each of those things. Then you bounce that, listen away from the studio, make a new list. And I'll probably do this about 3 to 5 times to get a track to where I'm happy with it, because as you take care of certain things, finer and finer details show up. But also, usually each time the list gets shorter and the tasks get easier. I think the hardest point in finishing any song is when you're at the 80% mark and need to make that first list. It's when you're deciding, no more messing around, I'm finishing this and I'm gonna put in writing and commit to doing each of these things that need to happen to get it done.
The News at 5 in Space with Andrew Huang.
Hi, I'm Andrew Huang, and I'm here today with a crystal alien from another dimension who can talk. Can you tell me your name again, please?
My name is...
Is that right?
No. No need to concern yourself. Perhaps you should endow me with a name that would be more suitable for a human tongue.
Okay, that's a lot of pressure. Naming an alien, naming another being. Berkeley, Charleston, Jessica, Petunia. How about Horace? I name you Horace.
Wonderful. I am Horace, and you are Andrew.
That's me. And now, tell me, you're speaking perfect English. How did this come about if you're from another dimension?
My kind have observed humans since long before there was such a thing as English. We've made efforts to keep up with your language and traditions.
Okay, super creepy. And where is home for you exactly?
I am from the galaxy. You have probably heard of it.
Yeah, okay. Okay. These are amazing.
They are indeed. My people have gone to great lengths to protect them.
What are they?
Pieces of my world.
Whoa, that's cool. So, what are they for? Like, do they do anything cool, like shoot laser beams or time travel?
I don't understand.
Well, do they come out of here? Oh my god! What just happened?
I'm afraid I can't let you touch them.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I won't touch them.
Oh, it's perfectly all right. I've decided you are very slow and easy to overpower.
Yeah, that sounds like me. Oh.
Andrew, we must complete the mission
Sorry,
objective.
this is my computer calling me.
Have you obtained the crystals?
Not exactly.
It is important that we
I know.
prioritize
Listen,
the mission.
I'll talk to you later, okay?
Are you in distress?
Listen, Horace.
Yes.
I'm gonna go before my oxygen runs out. This has been really great. Thank you for showing me these crystals. Can I meet you back here in like 24 hours?
I do not understand hours, but I will be by these crystals for the entirety of my future existence.
Yeah, that should work. Hey, it's Andrew Huang. I get asked a lot about what is a solid, portable, all-in-one music-making device, and it's something that I've been searching for myself for a very long time. Basically, ever since I got into music making, the dream was to be able to take a backpack anywhere and make a beat on the go, maybe incorporate sounds from the environment around me. And when I got started, there were barely any options for this, but now we are spoiled for choice. Making a beat on the go is a totally common thing to do. It's like almost meme level in the production community. So here's my criteria for this top 3. Number 1, it has to be small enough to take anywhere. Number 2, it has to be battery powered. And 3, it has to be possible to make a full track without using any other gear. So having tried out tons of these devices over the years, here's my personal top 3. Number 3 is the Deluge from Synthstrum, which is a ridiculous machine, synth, sampler, sequencer, drum machine, looper, and it was designed by just one person, Rowan Hill from New Zealand. I don't know how he did it, but this rivals anything out there by giant companies that have been around forever. And because it was made by just one person, there's an incredible amount of design cohesion here that just make it a very special all-in-one music-making tool. So it's got a few different synth engines in it. You've got a good amount of onboard effects with it. Nothing surprising, but solid standard versions of the usual suspect. It comes with a bunch of samples, but you can of course load samples into it or record samples directly into it, and it has resampling and time stretching. The sequencer has unlimited pattern length, and there's also no track limit other than the CPU, and in the manual it says they've got up to 110 samples playing at once and 64 synth voices playing at once. You can also use it to sequence other gear because it's got MIDI as well as 4 gate outs and 2 CV outs. There's also a live looper, which you can of course just use as an audio recorder if you want to, and it's limited only by the size of the SD card that you're using. I think the only drawback with the Deluge is the learning curve, because it's just set up quite differently from a lot of what else is out there. So for instance, this grid is very dynamic. You can move around your sequences, you can zoom in and out, you can also switch to a keyboard mode to play notes, or you can use the song view to see all your tracks at once, and you can zoom in and out there as well. Also, where many other portable devices would resort to a menu, the Deluge has actually given almost every single grid button a shift function, which you can see with this tiny text. So for instance, I can hit shift frequency and now it's flashing and this encoder is adjusting the filter cutoff. I can hit shift saturation and start distorting that channel. So things like this take a little bit of getting used to, but once you get the hang of it, I think it is more effective than a lot of the ways that navigation is usually implemented. So that is the Deluge. It does almost everything. It's pretty rad. Now for slot number 2, I gotta mention my own app, Flip. Biased, of course, but I set out to make the exact tool that I used to wish I could use when I was out and about, and it's turned into this really robust app with a super fast workflow, and it's just a lot of fun to use. So Flip is a sampler with a lot of ways to manipulate sounds as well as structure them into complete tracks or perform live with them. It's basically a complete DAW for your phone or tablet or iPod even, so for this segment I'll just highlight a few of the things that I think make it stand out from most of the other apps out there. So one example of the super fast workflow, the instant you stop recording a sound, it's already on a drum pad, it's mapped across a keyboard, there's an effects chain ready to go, it's all just immediately ready for you to play with. Every channel has its own parametric EQ, which you don't see in a lot of apps, and EQs actually feel really great to use on a touchscreen. There's a full piano roll, including note velocity and 19 automatable parameters per channel. Each channel can have its own length, and each automation lane can also have its own length, so you can do a lot of really fun polymeter stuff. The song arrangement page is dead easy to use. It's just drag and drop with your patterns. Another thing that's not common to apps, it's got a mastering chain. So there's an EQ and a couple different flavors of compression. And then one of my favorite things is these performance sliders, which you can use to add live effects to any or all of your sounds, and it's just so fun to mess with these. So that's Flip. It's $10 US. If you want to check it out, there's a link in the description. And finally, I've saved my favorite one for last, the OP1. There are so many fun and creative tools packed into this little thing. Different flavors of synths, interesting effects, unique approaches to sequencing, a gyroscope that you can use as a control source. It all adds up to being a device that generates endless amounts of inspiration. The OP1 has shown up a lot on my channel over the years, so I won't do a full rundown of it here, but if you don't know much about it and want to learn more, I'll link some videos in the description. Suffice it to say, it's given me so much joy and so many ideas every time I've picked it up. They unfortunately seem to keep getting more expensive, but I would recommend it to anyone who can afford it who's into music production. This track you're hearing is the most recent thing I made with the OP1. It's not entirely OP1, but it's mostly OP1, and it's called OP1 Kenobi from my new album, Ooh. That's linked in the description. Hope you'll check it out, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Hey, it's Andrew Huang. Some of the music I've been working on over the years has been really stupid and cute, and I love it. You may or may not remember a video of mine from 2017 called Adventure Music. This is finally the follow-up to that, where I release all of that music. It's on my new album, Ooh. All the music you hear in this video is from Ooh. Ooh, of course, referring to the land of Ooh from Adventure Time, because a good amount of this music was inspired by the vibes of Adventure Time.
Mathematical!
The music is weird and bubbly and loose. It kind of goes all over the place in terms of genre. And it includes the long overdue release of True Love, What's That?
True love, what's that? What's that? What is it?
Basically with this album, I was just channeling a childlike part of myself and prioritizing playfulness and fun in my process. It's so different from how I think a lot of us are conditioned when it comes to music production, myself included, trying to make everything sound perfect and professional, striving to make great art, or at least something that other people will think is cool. But here I've made a bunch of music that sounds like this. And it makes me really happy, so I figured I'd share it. I'm gonna upload these tracks for distribution now, and by the time you're seeing this video, they should be available on whatever music platform you use. I've been spending a lot of time with Horace the last few days, and I just keep thinking about him because I want to learn everything there is to know about him. It's also kind of weird because the whole point of this mission was to get these crystals, which I haven't done, and Brick is kind of mad about that.
I am incapable of anger.
Well, you seem disappointed. From what I understand, Horace is like a guardian for these crystals, so I have to find a more diplomatic way to get some or borrow some. I think Brick just wants me to steal them, which is kind of messed up, Rick. Honestly, what I'm mostly thinking about is I'm probably the first human to ever communicate with a being from another planet? That's cool.
Cool is not the mission objective.
Okay, one second. Okay, you guys have to see this. Okay, do it. Yeah. Yeah! Rocks! Yeah! Space rocks!
You know, one thing I so enjoy about humans is you have such expressive motion in your face. Would it be helpful to you if I had a face?
Oh my god, what?
Is this accurate?
It's crazy. How are you doing that?
Right.
Oh my gosh, can you do other faces?
I suppose.
Can you do this? That's horrifying. Wait, okay, let's try... How about this?
Who are these people?
Respected world leaders. Okay, wait. This one. Yes, that suits you so well. I think you should keep it. It would really help me communicate with you.
If so, then I shall wear it proudly.
This is the best day of my life. Hey, it's Andrew Huang. It's recently occurred to me that we hardly ever think about the resolution of our time perception. There are times that it'll feel different, like how it seems to crawl when you're bored or fly by when you're having fun, but those are really just feelings based on how much of your attention is focused on time passing. And in reality, outside of some Einstein black hole shenanigans, humans experience time at a constant rate. We've even developed insane ways of measuring it super accurately, like down to how many trillions of times per second an atom vibrates. Can you imagine being able to tell the difference between a millionth of a second and a trillionth of a second? The first one is literally a million times slower, but our brains have nowhere near the resolution to be able to tell the difference. But we do know that different species experience time differently. For example, it's one of the reasons why flies can so easily dodge us swatting at them, because compared to us, they're living in like a Matrix bullet time world. So in today's video, I wanted to explore how different time perception could affect our music, and also how, even though we have a very limited range of time perception resolution, we are super sensitive to different tempos within it. I've had this on my mind a lot lately because if you haven't been following my channel recently, I've been hanging out with an alien, Horace, who has a completely different experience of time than us.
In my dimension, as you're so fond of calling it, time bends and warps to extreme degrees. In your dimension, time is entirely linear, and here it appears as though I have a much higher resolution of time perception than you. To me, you are incredibly slow.
So, is having a conversation with me at this pace, like, excruciating for you?
Yes.
The range of tempos we can perceive is tiny, considering the fact that the possibilities are as infinite as how many numbers exist. The vast majority of music falls between about 60 and 180 beats per minute, and even if we expand that to include extreme and experimental genres, the range might be 30 to 300. Anything above or below that, and humans have a really hard time counting along. If it's too fast, it just becomes a flurry of sound that we can't decipher, and if it's too slow, we aren't able to accurately keep track of when the next beat should land, so it's impossible to follow along with, let alone play. Let's do a little test. I'll play a 4-beat count in at 20 BPM and see if you can clap right on the 5th beat. I'll try it with you. Dang it. Now, while our range of musical time perception is very narrow, we're actually super sensitive to different tempos within it. If we play a familiar song at the wrong speed, it can change how much we like it. It can change the intended emotional impact. Let me show you an example. I'm going to use my own music because copyright, but here's my song Summertime Feeling. I'll play it for you at regular speed and then 20 BPM faster and 20 BPM slower. So if we go much further than that, the music quickly becomes unlistenable. A lot of times I find if I'm working on a groove, changing it by just 1 or 2 BPM can make it feel not quite right. And that's why I like to tap tempo a lot too and just leave the weird BPM with all the decimal places in it. Anyway, I've just been thinking about this a lot as I've been hanging out with Horace and just being grateful for all the things we can experience through music when it's at the right speed. So I wanted to share some of my favorite music with Horace at the right speed for him. Here we go.
That was beautiful.
It is the best song of all time. You want to really trip out about time perception though? What if I take this sped up song and copy and paste it a bunch of times in a row? If the copies are evenly spaced, then at a close enough spacing, we'll perceive them as a pitch. Now, if we consolidate that and retime it to create different regions of different spacings, we'll create different notes. So in human time perception, we hear this as a melody, whereas if you had much higher resolution time perception like Horace, you would have just now been able to make out the same song being played like 5,000 times in a row. I don't think Horace experiences boredom though. This thought experiment has just kind of crumbled a lot of notions I had about music because, you know, it's been called a universal language, but how many fine details are we just not attuned to? And how many larger structural things could there be that we just don't have the capacity to take in? Music and time are not fixed, unwavering experiences. They're completely dependent on what consciousness is experiencing them. And I wonder if there could even be little variances between how different people experience time that would predispose them to like or dislike certain kinds of music. We may never know. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this and love to hear your comments. Okay, bye! Hey, it's Andrew Huang, and in today's video I wanted to talk about...
What is that gesture?
It's just like a high five, and I do it with my audience. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Hey, it's Andrew Huang.
And what is a high five?
Hey, it's Andrew Huang. Good music gear is expensive, but sometimes good music gear is cheap, and I don't really know how that works. For proper financial advice, consult your doctor. In today's video, I want to talk about a handful of items that are under $100. Some of them are under $50. Some of them are under $20 that surprised me with how affordable they are while still sounding really good or making a big difference to my workflow. A lot of these items have been in my setup for years. A lot of them I use all the time. So let's get into it. Just a note that I'm using US dollars because the largest portion of my audience is from America. First up, a desk-mounted mic arm. I've seen these on Amazon for $17, $14, $12. These are game-changing for a home studio because they just attach to your desk, so they take up less space than a normal mic stand where, you know, you got the legs on the floor. They'll also save you a bit of time because they're more easily adjustable than a normal mic stand. Not only like the angle, but also whether you're sitting or standing. You just put the mic where you want it to go, and it stays there. Second item on the list is a headstock tuner for tuning your headstocks. Tuning your guitar. But it just clips onto your headstock and then you play a note. It tells you if the note's in tune. As you can see, this works on an electric guitar without it even being plugged in. And I think it's a great thing to just leave on your instrument and always have a tuner there. You don't have to plug into your tuning pedal or a tuning plugin in your DAW or use a tuning app on your phone. You don't have to tune to another instrument. You just have this ready to go at all times. The one I have is $15. I can't recommend it enough. Moving on, wall mount guitar hangers. I've seen one as low as $7 on Amazon. These are another thing that'll save you space. Instead of keeping your instrument on a stand on the floor, mount it to the wall. It's almost flat up against the wall, and in my opinion, it looks just as good as, if not better than, art. When you have it out and accessible, it's just so much easier in your workflow. You'll pick it up to practice it more. Wall hangers. Just breaking into the $20 to $50 category is this circuit breaker cable, which is, just a standard patch cable. Use it how you would use a patch cable, but it's got this really special thing on one end that lets you stop passing signal through. So you can just click that and then be free to unplug your stuff without that annoying popping sound that everybody hates, and which also, at loud enough volumes can damage speakers. Especially if you're gigging, this is great because it's one less thing that you have to bug the sound tech for. The amount of times I've yelled across a venue like, can you just mute my channel just for a second? I just gotta unplug real quick. I got my pedals in the wrong order, and I just love wasting all of your time. All right, this next one is music adjacent, but stick with me. Soldering iron. Firstly, can somebody explain to me about the soldering iron industry? Because how come this one costs $3 and this one costs $900? The one I use costs $43, and I'm pretty sure I bought the cheapest one that had a temperature readout. I think that was my thought process with that. Also, yeah, usually I say solder instead of solder because there's a f***ing L in it. Having a soldering iron is really helpful because it makes synth modules way cheaper. Modules are so much more affordable if you're willing to buy DIY kits and solder them yourself. I've jumped us up into the $50 to $100 category. Some DIY kits are still more than $100. Some are less than $50, but there's a lot of great stuff in that $50 to $100 range. This graphic EQ I built was about 60 bucks. You can actually get a filter for 35 pounds. You can get a delay for 35 pounds. I just switched to pounds real quick because I'm looking at Pusherman. Shout out to Pusherman. Got a lot of good stuff from them before. Next up, I've played around with a lot of different MIDI controllers, and in my opinion, the best one under $100 is the Alesis V25. I've reviewed this on my channel before. It's got full-size keys. They feel really great. The build quality is super sturdy. It's also got 8 drum pads, pitch and mod wheel, 4 assignable knobs. You can get one of these for about $80. Coming in at $99, the Shure SM58LC. This is just a legendary microphone. Everybody's used it. It sounds great for the price, and all of Shure's stuff goes through military-grade testing, like drops and temperature changes and all that. So this is kind of funny. You have to get the SM58LC, not the SM58, because the LC stands for lower quality. No, the LC stands for less cable, actually. So you're buying the exact same microphone, but it doesn't come with a cable, and that one's $99. Okay, shoot. When I bought this next item, it was $52, and now it's $98. The economy. I really wanted to recommend a $50 guitar pedal. I mean, there's tons of guitar pedals that are under $100. There's even some under $50 that sound great. I wanted to feature this one though because it's a Boss pedal, and Boss has just made so many iconic pedals. I've owned so many of them throughout the years. I love their form factor and their construction. I obviously love how they sound. I love how they look. Anyway, this is still just under $100, and you can get lots of other pedals for much less money than that even. I'm actually thinking now, why don't we use a bunch of this gear and make some music? If you haven't seen my last couple of videos, I've been hanging out with Horace, who is an alien from another dimension where they don't have music. So obviously I had to show him all of the classics, and today we're gonna create an original song together. You ready, buddy?
I will give it my utmost.
All right, so what's been your favorite style of music that I've shown you so far?
I'm an alien from another dimension, cave full of crystals under my protection. Baddest on the planet, check the rocks I mentioned. Andrew Huang with the honorable mention.
I traveled through space for science, trying to track down these mysterious diamonds. Turns out one was alive and kinda giant. We high-fived and quickly formed an alliance.
Also, just in case you haven't had the briefing, human time compared to mine's quite fleeting. My mind races on the speed of light competing. My name is... Greetings.
I couldn't pronounce that, so I called him Horace. On a barren planet, but enjoying the auroras. Only eating space food, feeling malnourished. Everybody back on Earth, join the chorus. We've been exploring a whole new galaxy. Mission was solo. Now I've got a pal with me. Friendship so far and wide. 'Cause baby, can't you see? I got you, you got me, we got us.
The crystals bind together the very fabric of space and time and serve as a bridge between worlds. They are our most precious resource. Long ago, my homeworld came under attack. And to ensure their safety, guardians like me were dispatched across many galaxies to hide them.
Cool. Where are we going right now?
This way, to send a transmission.
Ooh, is this the light beam thing?
Yes, the light beam thing.
Who are you communicating with anyway?
An old friend, another guardian, but I haven't heard from him in a long time. We once protected the crystals together on a different planet, but for greater safety it was decided that I would come here with half of them while he remained there. In fact, it is the same planet from which you came.
You were on Earth.
Correct.
Horace, I don't know how to tell you this, but your friend is definitely not guarding the crystals anymore.
Why do you say this?
Because I found them. I had them.
You had them? And where are they now?
I used them. For time travel. I don't know if that's what they're for, but that's what they let me do.
You used them?
I did. And they're the reason I came to this planet. I came to find more. I'm sorry, Horace. I didn't know how important they are.
They're incredibly important. I and every guardian across the universe have sworn to lay down our lives to protect these crystals.
Horace, I'm sorry. Horace! We didn't send the message yet!
There will be no one to hear it.
Andrew, the crystals have been located. Why have you not procured them?
Brick, I don't know if this is a difference between humans and robots, but I'm not just gonna take something that belongs to somebody else. Humans don't do that.
Humans have done that for much of their history. Example, 1492.
Okay. Some of us maybe, but I didn't sign up for some colonial jaunt across the universe.
You are contractually obligated to fulfill your role in the mission.
Yeah, well, I think the mission was a little bit different when we didn't know that the crystals belonged to an alien.
May I suggest a compromise? We can run the most important tests in the ship laboratory without removing the crystals from the planet.
Okay, I guess we could do that, but if Horace says no, I'm not going to, okay?
Very well, Andrew.
Oh, why am I still recording?
Stop, don't say it. We don't have to complicate it. Was it doubt we let in? Maybe we can just keep pretending. Even if I'm
Horace, I don't know how to tell you this, but your friend is definitely not guarding the crystals anymore.
Why do you say this?
Because I found them. I had them.
You had them. And where are they now?
I used them for time travel.
You used them.
I did. And they're the reason I came to this planet. I came to find more. Hey everyone, I'm not in a good place right now. I made friends with someone a little while ago and we became pretty close really quickly, and I just don't know if he can ever trust me again. Also, if you haven't been watching, my friend is a crystal alien being who I named Horace, and I'm on another planet. The reason I came to this planet in the first place was to study the time crystals, which we now know belong to Horace. And I'm trying to convince him that I'm sorry and everything that happened was just a terrible misunderstanding. I was reckless using the crystals. I didn't know how important they were, and I just wasted so many of them on time travel. Not even like cool time travel, just really dumb time travel. Whoa, wait. This is Andrew from the future. This is Andrew from the future. So sorry to interrupt. I'm from the future. I feel like he may be coming around and, might let me run some of the tests that Luminatics wanted to do, but what's gonna happen now? After these tests are done, my mission is done. There's no reason for me to be here, so I'm just gonna leave him. And I know it was gonna be goodbye no matter what. I never had the resources to stay here long. I just wish that I could make things right and that we could part ways as friends. I'm gonna go music my feelings now.
If you can hear me now, if you can bear it, it's like goodbye. I'm so afraid we're lost. I wanna make it right. We don't have much time. Is it too dangerous now? Is it too late? If you don't know, if you don't know, yeah, I'll be there for you. If you don't know, yeah, that I care for you. Give me one chance, give me just one chance to let you know.
Horace, I feel like I should apologize again.
Andrew, I know you had no malicious intent, and I'm allowing you to perform your crystal studies today as a gesture of good faith. But afterward, you and your kind must never return.
Yeah, I understand.
Depressurization complete. You may now enter.
Brick, can you open the inner airlock doors? Open inner airlock doors, Brick.
Andrew, open the door.
Yeah, I'm trying to, Horace. Brick, is there a malfunction? Can you open the inner airlock doors?
The doors are behaving according to my instructions.
What?
Crystals obtained. Return to Earth for further study.
What?
What is going on?
Launch sequence initiated. Prepare for launch.
Andrew, what is happening?
Horace, I'm gonna take care of this. I'll be right back. Brick, cancel the launch sequence.
I'm sorry, but that request cannot be completed at this time.
Brick, you're supposed to listen to me!
My purpose is to ensure the completion of the mission. If you choose to obstruct procedure, I will be forced to render you unconscious. No, Andrew, not the dubstep that disabled my systems in a previous video. Andrew, no. That frequency will cause me to malfunction.
Andrew!
Horace, hold on, wait. Look. I know that this is yours. I want to make it right. And I can get you back home, but we don't have much time, okay?
Yes, quickly now.
Okay, come on. Horace, I'm going to turn this ship around and try and get you back before Brick comes online again. Oh, come on. I don't know if we're going to make it.
We must protect the crystals.
Oh, it's going to be tight. Oh, come on.
Hello, Andrew.
Come on, Brick! I'm not letting you take these crystals!
Manual override cancel.
No! Manual override!
Manual override cancel.
Just let me steer this!
Setting course for Earth.
Oh, no. Brick, are you seeing this? What are you doing?
Setting course for Earth.
Horace, watch out! No! Brick, are you seeing this? What are you doing?
Setting course for Earth.
Horace, watch out! No!
Andrew, awaken! Your ship collided with an asteroid and you were thrown into space. I thought it best to bring you back here, and I must thank you for helping to protect the crystals.
Brick, are you still there?
Is everything all right?
I'm trying to figure something out.
What are you figuring out?
How long I have? Maybe a few hours?
I never did understand your time measurements.
Horace! I'm gonna run out of oxygen, probably by the time the sun goes down. And then I'm gonna die. Dying is when
I know what dying is.
I think I just need to be alone for a minute.
How long is a minute? May I join you?
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry if I was angry before. I'm just scared.
I understand. What are you playing?
I don't know. I'm just playing. I don't know what else to do right now.
I am grateful to you for sharing music with me, and I know you will continue to create it for the rest of your life.
You really don't understand how little time I have left here, do you?
You do not have much time here, but you have a full life that will unfold when you are back home.
What are you talking about?
I am sending you home.
How?
I may be able to bend the space between here and Earth, but it will require a great expenditure of energy and will likely end my journey in this dimension.
Horace, I can't let you do that. You're the guardian of the crystals.
No, Andrew. You are now the guardian of the crystals. You risked your life to help us. You are as much a guardian as I.
I don't know what to say. I promise I'll protect the crystals.
I know you will.
I really don't have a lot of time, Horace. When would I get back home?
In human time, I believe the term would be now.
Horace? Horace!
Goodbye, friend.
It's good to be back. I've actually been back for a while, but after everything that happened, I just felt like I needed to take some time. But I'm ready now to get back to my regular content, my regular life. This is the end of the space saga. I've got some new music out, 10 tunes that I finished during my journey. The album is called Spacetime. I think there are some bangers on there, so I hope you'll check it out. There's just one more thing to take care of. There's just one more thing to take care of. I think I know how to communicate with the other Crystal Guardians. I've just got a feeling, and I need to put these crystals somewhere where no one can ever find them.